I was first introduced to the world of K-drama when I was in college. As a student, Korean dramas were a fun pastime that allowed me a brief break from my studies in psychology and marketing. But today, I am excited to turn to the K-drama world together with you and to draw out some insights about marketing. While many are familiar with the word marketing, many have a limited or partial understanding of it. One idea I present during the first class to my undergraduate marketing students is that marketing as an academic field is like an iceberg. The part we see above the water is what people typically think of as marketing, advertising, and selling. However, the significantly larger, unseen part under the water is drawing together principles from psychology, sociology, economics, communications, and more, with the aim of building and managing positive relationships with consumers. And like an iceberg, the visible parts of marketing wouldn't be there or be successful without the part underneath. And for marketers to build positive relationships with consumers, they first need to understand the consumer. How do consumers think? How do they process information? What excites them? What are their values? And then, marketers can proceed to communicate their message in a way that is most appropriate and fitting to a particular group of consumers. Depending on the type of relationship a brand has with its consumers, and depending on the context of the communication, different message types and different message strategies become more versus less effective. We can easily apply this idea of modifying communication styles to our own relationships. The way you communicate with a colleague in a professional setting versus with a friend over coffee versus with a romantic partner while on a date would be different. And different strategies are going to be more appropriate and more effective in communicating what it is you want to convey. For example, consider an interview with a potential future boss. You would do your best to communicate the positives of yourself and portray yourself in the most positive light possible. In marketing, we call that a one-sided message. The message contains just the positives about your brand and your product. We can see how certain relationships, conversations, and settings would call for such a strategy. I think a good illustration of a one-sided message comes from the Korean drama King the Land. For those of you who haven't seen this drama, there are no spoilers here. The drama is mainly set in a hotel called The King. The main characters are Sarang, an employee of the hotel, played by Eunice Kim of Girls' Generation, and Kwon, the heir to the hotel, played by Junho Lee. The King Hotel is known for their signature service with a smile message to their guests.
운동은 미소로 시작합니다. 우리 킹 호텔에서만 볼 수 있는 하이엔드 명품 스마일. 헤르메스. 미소는 가장 강력한 무기이자 방패예요. 아름답게 헤르메스.
And as we just saw in the clip, employees practice the perfect Hermès smile as part of their training. The smile is a large part of how the King Hotel brands itself and communicates with their guests. And in the drama, you see scenes where Sarang employs this strategy effectively as the face or the messenger of the hotel brand. Sarang begins as an intern, quickly rises through the ranks, becoming known as the Smile Queen, and obtains a coveted consumer-facing position in concierge services. The drama further shows Sarang using her smile message almost as a finishing touch, the tip of that iceberg, if you will, to her deeper understanding of individual guests, which she demonstrates by personalizing the melodies of a courtesy wake-up call or by providing thoughtful cultural suggestions to international guests. The one-sided message, effective at times, is not a foolproof strategy. For marketers, of course, you want to emphasize the positives and the benefits of your products and services. But to some consumers, and in certain contexts, those one-sided messages are perceived as less credible. Some may think that they sound too good to be true. Others, who may be more knowledgeable in a particular domain, know that there is no such thing as a perfect product. So, another strategy that marketers use to build deeper trust and connection with consumers is the two-sided message. This is where the message obviously communicates the positives, but you reveal or acknowledge a small flaw or small limitation in your product or service. For example, take a look at this Krispy Kreme donut ad. It openly acknowledges the obvious flaw. Donuts are bad for you. They are unhealthy. This two-sided message by Krispy Kreme is very believable. And I don't know about you, but this doesn't turn me away from donuts. It does quite the opposite. The humorous admission to the flaw draws me in and makes me more receptive to a brand that is willing to admit an obvious drawback to their products, while still trying to offer a positive to the lives of their consumers. The lesson from two-sided messages can be applied especially to our personal relationships. Of course, we want those around us to like us and think well of us. But unless we can pull back the curtain, reveal our weaknesses or struggles, others may have a limited or partial view of us. Without a genuine connection, a relationship may stall. Let's see this in King the Land. Sarang's relationship with Kwon starts out in the professional sphere. So naturally, he only sees her professional side, her one-sided messaging. Kwon mistakenly assumes that the smiling face is all there is to Sarang and thinks that she is a bit phony and disingenuous. Then, the two end up stranded on a secluded beach and share a meal and drinks. In this more personal, rather than professional setting, Sarang reveals some less than perfect, less than ideal aspects of herself. Kwon realizes there is more to Sarang as a person than just the smiles and perfectly composed demeanor. It is here that Kwon, perhaps unbeknownst to himself even, begins to take an interest in her as a person. He's being drawn to her, wanting to engage with her further. Sarang, in her two-sided messaging, opens herself up to the possibility of a closer relationship and being known and loved at a deeper, fuller level. I'm sure this may resonate with many of you as you think about how you became friends with your best friend, or how a first date progressed into something deeper. While initially it may have been about signaling all positives, the relationship probably solidified and grew because one of you, or both of you, let out something negative about yourself and let yourself be vulnerable. Perhaps it was an embarrassing moment, or a vulnerable story, or even a makeup-free face. Marketers understand that when a brand only uses one-sided messaging, it can appear inauthentic, and its ability to connect with consumers can be impaired. So what about us? How and when do we use one- and two-sided strategies to connect with others and build relationships? In today's culture of social media and photo filters and airbrushed images, how do we look beyond polished appearances in understanding and connecting with others? Likewise, how do we understand our own value and communicate that to others? I am reminded of a saying that a pastor friend of mine likes to say, "The extent to which you are known is the extent to which you can be loved." To whom are you known, and whom do you know? And in turn, by whom are you loved, and whom do you love? If we think of Korean dramas as a kind of product that has been marketed to the world, we can see it has been marketed with great commercial success. Since the release of Season 1 of Squid Game, Netflix has reported that over 80% of its subscribers have watched Korean content. And in the past 5 years or so, more than a dozen Korean dramas have reached Netflix's global as well as regional top 10 lists. Beyond the dramas themselves, the food, music, clothing, and makeup brands promoted on Korean dramas have become hugely popular in global markets. For example, a Korean brand of lipstick, Laneige, that was used by the lead actress in the drama Descendants of the Sun, sold out in 4 days on a Chinese site and reached record sales numbers. Korean dramas are an example of true success in marketing, not only because they have led to product sales, but because they have also fostered a deeper relationship between viewers and Korean culture as a whole. By employing one- and two-sided messaging, storytelling, foot in the door, and other marketing strategies, Korean dramas have enabled viewers to befriend heroes and heroines in heart-tugging stories and have become strategic vehicles through which millions of people globally are exploring and embracing Korean culture more broadly. People are trying its cuisine, traveling to Korea, and learning its language. In fact, Duolingo reported a 40% increase in Korean language learners since Squid Game. These are all evidence of what has been called the Korean wave. Perhaps an interest in Korean dramas has also led you to this very video discussing marketing. As you continue to enjoy Korean dramas, I encourage you to consider how we can build genuine connections and more meaningful relationships with those around us, and how those connections might be the two-way means by which we come to experience and allow others to experience new perspectives and opportunities for growth.